of the Board of Education is called to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance. Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mr. Acom. Here. Mrs. Schneider.
Here.
Mrs. Click.
Here.
Mrs. Mahalis.
Here.
Mr. Sobolski.
Here.
All right, we begin tonight's meeting with special reports and recognitions. Tonight we have two students from the high school being recognized as Rotary Students of the Month. They are Cameron Taylor and Andrew Mueller. May I please have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Click.
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis.
Yes.
Mr. Acom.
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider.
Yes.
All right, would the students please come forward and get your certificates? You can start at the back.
Congratulate you. Hold on, don't go yet. And I'm also going to give you one of the Marine Standard medals. So congratulations and thank you for holding the Marine Standard. And you, congratulations. Just to thank you for upholding.
Make your way to the podium. All right, Dr. Pachulewski, whenever you're ready, you can introduce the students.
Our students are inspiring, and the positive culture of nurturing and caring for students is a community effort that makes Aurora City School District a magical place to be. So first and foremost, thank you to our Aurora Rotary for having this opportunity to celebrate our student leaders. Today, I would like to present Cameron Taylor, our Rotary Club Student of the Month, to the Board of Education. She is truly exceptional and holds a special place in all of our hearts. In the words of Melissa Lindley, Cameron is unstoppable. She leads with grace, kindness, and a respect for others as our senior class president. Mrs. Watt admires Cameron as she radiates kindness and love, creating a sense of home wherever she goes. By making every student feel seen, welcome, and heard, she is a joy to teach. Mr. Price and Mr. Rakow conveyed that Cameron is extremely intelligent and supports the success of those around her, helping to create a highly engaging and intellectually challenging classroom environment. One day, Cameron aspires to practice law and is interested in international relations. Profe Brancasio has commended her for her drive and self-motivation in becoming bilingual as part of this long-term vision. The impact she has made and is making at the greenhouse her senior year is a clear indicator that this young lady is headed as far as the stars. We are so proud of her and cannot recommend a better candidate.
Good evening, everyone. I want to begin by thanking the Rotary Club and the Board of Education for this incredible honor. I also want to thank my mom, my sisters, and my teachers for their guidance and support. My achievements, perspective, and goals would not be possible without those who have shaped me along the way. The Rotary Club has inspired me since my freshman year, when I participated in and won the Rotary 4-Way speech contest. That experience introduced me to the club's commitment to education and leadership. I believe that building a better future begins with expanding both the access to and the quality of learning. Seeing an organization like this in action reminds me that meaningful change is possible when people work together toward a common goal. At school, I am involved with Green Men Global, a program I founded where AHS students visit Craddock Elementary to teach young students about the history and culture of different countries. I enjoy this activity because it allows me to collaborate and witness authentic curiosity grow. I remember being a first and second grader in those classrooms, eager to learn about the very cultures that I now have the privilege of sharing. That experience reminds me that education is not just about facts. It's about connection, empathy, and opening minds to the world. The two classes that have influenced me the most are AP US Government and AP Spanish. Mr. Rubin's commitment to fostering dialogue among students with different perspectives models the kind of political engagement I hope to see in the future. I also discovered the value of listening, understanding, and finding common ground, skills I hope to carry forward in shaping a more thoughtful society. And in AP Spanish, Senora Brancasio's emphasis on the culture behind the language truly motivates me to learn more and I am passionate about becoming fluent in Spanish one day. Already, I've been able to use social media to share history with a global audience. On my Instagram account, I post 5 monumental historical events a day to over 300,000 international followers. I have also published a children's book to introduce young readers to history across cultures. Looking ahead, I hope to continue expanding access to education with modern technology. I believe that when people are empowered with knowledge and perspective, they can challenge divisions, tackle global problems, and create a brighter and more connected future. That is the world I hope to build, one where everyone has the tools to make a difference. Thank you for listening, and thank you again for this incredible honor.
Congratulations, Cameron. Members of the board, I would like to introduce Andrew Moeller as our second candidate for Aurora Rotary Student of the Month for Aurora High School. Andrew is heavily involved in our school community as captain of the swim team, as well as a community lifeguard. Andrew is hungry to learn and truly values the process. Mr. Rakow conveys that he is extremely attentive in class, but he makes the depth of his engagement apparent when he raises his hand to contribute a well-considered comment or insight, or ask an incisive, probing question. His insights reflect deep, critical thinking and contribute to a rich culture of discussion in class. Mr. Price also spoke to his character. He is extremely polite, kind, and respectful. He lives our green standard and makes AHS an outstanding place to teach and to learn. Andrew aspires to be a biological engineer and invent a new life form. His love of the life sciences, as well as art, specifically photography, will take him far within his professional career. Congratulations, Andrew.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Andrew Muller. I'm a senior at Aurora High School, and I am proud to be recognized as Rotary Student of the Month here today. I would like to start off with a couple of thank yous. First and foremost, I would like to thank my biology teacher, Mrs. Vero, for nominating me for this award, as well as all of the other amazing teachers and staff at AHS. I would also like to thank all of the leaders and members of the Rotary Club, as well as the Board of Education for considering me for this great honor. I would also like to thank my family and friends for their support throughout my school career. The Rotary Club has significant positive impact on local communities through its commitment to service, leadership, and charity. Members of Rotary Club work together to address local needs, such as providing educational opportunities, promoting peace, and supporting everyone in the community of Aurora. By funding local projects, supporting youth programs with scholarships and leadership training, and partnering with other organizations, Rotary Club helps strengthen community resilience and improve overall quality of life. I myself also try to help my community. I'm involved with the Aurora Interact Club, the National Honor Society, the Varsity Swim Team, and many other school clubs. The Aurora Interact Club works very closely with Rotary, with many overlapping events, and I feel that they share all of the same values. I'm also the treasurer of the National Honor Society, which means that I'm in charge of managing the money aspect of the club behind the scenes so that our fundraisers can run smoothly and provide for the community. I'm also the team captain of the swim team and have been a varsity swimmer for the last 3 years, and I'm planning on a 4th. I also participate in the environmental club, student council, STARS, which is our debate club, and Stop the Hate Club, although to a lesser degree. I love the sense of community I get from participating in these activities. My favorite class at AHS was always biology because I always found it fascinating to learn about how our bodies work and how organisms interact with each other. Because of that, in the future, I plan to study biological engineering, and I want to become a scientist to uphold the standards of medicine and food safety. I'm currently undergoing the college application process, so I'm undecided on where I will go, but I'm looking forward to the opportunities I know college will give me. I hope to bring the values of the Rotary Club and AHS to wherever I end up. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, they'll get a picture. Thank you, Cameron and Andrew, for coming tonight, and to the families who came too. All right, while they're doing that, we will move on to hearing of the public on agenda and non-agenda items. The board and administration do not typically respond at board meetings, but someone can get back to you. We have one person who signed up, if you so desire. The public comment period is a maximum of 30 minutes, and each speaker is limited to a total time of 3 minutes. Mr. Schiraldi will keep the time and include your name and address in the minutes, if you'd be so kind as to give it in case you're up. Do you mind going to the podium? Yeah.
Casey Krebs, 148 Burning Tree Drive in the Oaks of Aurora.
Yeah, and I can give him the sheet too when we're done,
Okay.
so go ahead.
Mine's real simple and brief, with kids that are out of the school district for a long time and grandkids and the whole thing. I feel a little bit disconnected as far as the information that I can get on what's coming up on the next ballot. So other than the school website, are there any other places I could get that information? That's all I got.
Okay, well, one of us will get back to you.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
this week. Thanks, Casey. All right, next we move to the approval of minutes from our regular meeting of August 25th. May I have a motion, please?
Moved. Second?
Are there any comments or edits, additions to those minutes? All right, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mr. Sobolski? Yes. Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes. Minutes are approved as written, and now we'll go to the superintendent and assistant superintendent reports.
Thank you, Ms. Mahalis and Board of Education. Tonight, as I mentioned previously, I wanted to follow up based upon our interactions with our architects, TDA, then Design Architecture. And so we had a follow-up meeting with them to sort of map out the big picture of the essential plan. And so I wanted to just take a little bit of time tonight to take that overview, that big picture, and then break it down into a few different segments and talk about what's ahead moving into next November. So the visual up there is the entire timeline, which obviously I know you cannot see, although the board members do have the visual in front of you. So we're going to break it down into some palatable chunks here and talk about what's coming up this semester, what's coming up next semester, and then also what we are looking at next year. So the first portion, and this is kind of where we are right now with TDA, then Design Architecture. We tonight actually have the ELP application that needs to be board approved. That would give us sort of the green light to move forward with the state funding. So that's a first part of this application. We will also be updating our enrollment projections here in the next month or so, and working with the OFCC on our equity rank, and that's just sort of the way they go about deciding how much funding that we would eventually get on any project that we would do. So that's the first part of this, and then in October, as we had talked about previously, we are going to engage the staff internally, so in our upcoming PD Day, actually on October 13th, they are going to be coming, and we're going to be working with Maria Goodman and her pre-KK staff on the design of that potential addition to Miller. And then we'll also be working with Ms. Stewart, her staff, and then the third grade staff from Layton as well, to talk about, with that new 1 through 3 building, what are the needs. So that's sort of where we are right now in terms of some of the steps with the essential plan design, the OFCC, and state aid. Moving on to this next chunk here, and this would be sort of, I guess some of it's into December, January, but it's really sort of the second part of the year, second semester, and there are a number of different pieces of this. So one of the things that we're going to have to do is look at enrollment again, and then also potentially take some school tours. One of the things that the elementary principals mentioned, brought up with TDA is it possible to have some groups look at some other elementary schools that are being built and look at potential needs. So that's something we're looking at potentially doing in January. In February, we need to work with TDA to finalize the POR, and that is really just what the POR is, the architecture term for really just what our needs are. So what is the scope of the project? How many rooms, what kind of rooms, square footage, those types of things. So we'd have to work with them on that. And then if you see the gray squares there in terms of projection of costs and the final agreement, as we get into March and April, TDA will work on updated costs. We can estimate that now, but the new costs for the following year will not be released until March or April. So that's why we have to finalize those and finalize that agreement later in the spring. We would need to, the school district would need to approve the ELP project agreement and return that to OFCC, but that would be after we finalize some of those costs. Meanwhile, while we are on this part of the project, that second semester is when we will have scheduled a number of community engagement opportunities, potentially here, potentially at Craddock, potentially even other places throughout the community to get feedback on the design and what we're working on with the essential plan. There are a couple going with OFCC, which is the state funding source. There's some extra requirements. So you can see above June there, school district required board resolution number 1 for necessity. So essentially what that is, it's just the board signaling that we do have a necessity for construction. We are intending to move forward with this project. So that's sort of a step 1. And then the last purple box up top, we would have to do a resolution number 2 to go forward with the bond issue. So these are all sort of just detailed steps that we have to sort of step through now and through the end of the year into the summer. The last portion here, and there's still some of the segment from the previous part that I had up there. For the bond campaign, really starting in the summer, once everything is approved by the OFCC and ELP and by the board, and we have moved forward with putting a bond up next November. The state of Ohio controlling board would also have to approve the agreement, and then really the target date is next November of 26, for any type of bond issue that we would put up. In terms of the bond campaign, from the school district standpoint, that will simply be informational. And I think we've talked about that before. So from myself, Mr. Hayes or Mr. Schiraldi or anybody else, it's really just, here are the needs, here's, the rationale. It's not campaigning, yes or no, or trying to persuade people. That's not something we're allowed to do. However, we do have citizens and we have groups that have stepped up before that might want to be doing the advocating or the lobbying, which they are able to do. But that's not necessarily the role of the superintendent. And obviously not board members when you're acting as board members. When you're acting as community members, there's a little bit more latitude. So that's sort of the big picture view, all the different steps that we need to go through between now and next November. Just one last, I guess, reminder, because I know we've been through this before with the previous bond project. With the OFCC and this commitment, they will only fund aspects of the project that fall within the scope of what's approved OFCC work. And it will also, it's not something that comes up front. You have to get in line, so to speak, and then you get reimbursed later on for whatever that value is. Now, the last time we went through this process, they put us at 13%. I can't tell you what it's going to be. I'm guessing it's somewhere in that neighborhood. So whatever the project is, so right now, as the initial design shows, it's roughly $80 million. That's roughly what the essential plan would be. So if it's the same, it would be about 13% of $80 million that we could recoup at a later date. One thing that I have discovered lately in talking to some other superintendents at some meetings recently, there are not a lot of bond issues that have passed in recent years, and so that timeline has been moved up in terms of getting the extra funds to almost immediately during the project, right afterwards. So that's really a good sign if the bond issue were to pass in terms of the district receiving those public funds from the state at an earlier date. So I know that is a lot of technical talk and timelines and all these steps that we would need to do in order to move into that bond issue. I do want to pause and see if there's questions about any of those details before I turn it over to Mr. Hayes for the curricular-related report.
Questions?
Especially probably starting in January, when communication starts going out to through final forms to the families that have children enrolled in the district. Is there a possible way to make that available so that other community members who might not have a direct tie to the district could sign up for those emails and be added to that list to make sure that they would get that same communication?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's actually something that we tried to do last year, and we have, I can't remember how many, but 100 and some emails, I believe, that we had collected through the surveys. And so actually on all my final forms I've been sending out, I've actually included some of those community members, and I know we had a public comment about that. So yes, absolutely. If there are people that want that information, request that information, we will absolutely add their email addresses. Good question, though.
I assume we'll also post whatever those communications are. We have a communications hub on our website.
Yep, yes, we can do that as well. And what we did before the last time was there was a designated portion of our website to that project with all the information, communication, details. We can't do that yet because we're not at that point because it's still early, but we will do the same thing where we will create a designated portion of our website on the essential plan that will have all the timelines, details, communications. Yes.
Okay, anything else? All right, I meant to tell the students and their families, you're welcome to leave anytime you'd like.
Yes, let me go ahead and go, guys.
However, I know Mr. Hayes has some good news for us. You might want to stick around for that. You can go ahead and start whenever
You are
you're ready.
welcome to stay. We're not kicking you out, but you may have homework based on those resumes and speeches.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
Good to go? Okay.
You're good.
All right, for my report, it's part 2 of our annual check on outside audits. So you may recall that in August, we did an overview on AP outcomes. And then this month for September, we're kind of doing an overview of OST, Ohio State Test outcomes, which are connected to our state report card, which was just released last week, which Dr. Milsich and I will go over a more detailed account of next month, where we'll get into all facets of that report card. But these OST outcomes are what really drive the achievement portion of the state report card, which, once again, we were one of only 47 districts out of over 600 in the state to receive the best possible rating of 5 stars from the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. So kind of going into the data, what I've got provided here is 3-year historical trend data, including last school year, 24-25. And on the screen here, we've got our state tested subjects down from Layton through Harmon. And on the next slide, I have the same data from the high school. And so, as I mentioned last month, there's always a qualitative story behind quantitative data. And in our district, we always talk about nurturing the roots of our students, valuing the process over the product. So there's so much that goes into these products or these outcomes. But I think with me noting that these are the types of scores that go into the achievement aspect of the state report card, pretty much any of the other 553 districts that did not receive a 5-star report card would love to have these types of outcomes. Doesn't mean we're always satisfied with everything, so there's always the aspect of reinforcing the great things that we're doing, reflecting, and working to refine the things where we want to continue to grow. So just in general, we see kind of similar data from each year. Of course, there's a couple outliers that we've already taken proactive steps to look at and examine where we didn't get to an area that we're accustomed to or would be happy with. So we've already made some personnel adjustments, looked at refining some PLC aspects, have done some curriculum updates and changes over the course of the summer to continue to refine our strategies so we can best serve our kids. And again, there's always some anecdotal stuff that goes along with that. So some of the outlier areas, we had some long-term substitute teachers that impacted over 70 students in our district. So those are some of the things that stood out there. But from an overarching perspective, incredibly happy with the continual trend data that really continues to rise as students continue their career, which really emphasizes that notion of the productive struggle that is so important for our students to continue to learn and grow. Moving forward then to the high school data, again, you can see very similar trends here, continuing to be around that 90+% aspect for all of our state tested subjects. And again, This information is really just a piece. And so you'll hear people talk about things like the state report card or some of these OSD outcomes as just another data point for us to reflect upon. Obviously there are more than 5, 6, 7 subjects or in the lower grade levels, ELA, math, science, or social studies. There's so much more that goes into the holistic aspect of our education, and that's why we talk all the time about the green standard. So we're looking to always be within a certain plus or minus range within these data points that we're accustomed to, so we can stay, remain excellent, but at the same time, we want to celebrate the good things that are happening. So really, this is just an overarching view of just, hey, we're on track. We're pretty much aligned with where we've been over the last several years, and we've gotten some good data points to know where we want to continue to grow, refine some things, and move forward. So that's pretty much everything I've got for you. I just want to kind of keep it at an overarching view, and as I said, once we get into next month, Dr. Milosevich and I will go over the 5 areas of the state report card and kind of a more detailed account of the actual data points there, but open to any questions or comments from the board at this point in time.
I was just saying, this isn't a question, but maybe we could throw in a question mark somewhere. But just with recent attention being paid to the release of some of the NAEP reports recently that showed trends declining even before COVID on a nationwide schedule, size, it's really encouraging to see we're continuing to make that progress, and it confirms what we're doing is working really well.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and we'll talk about it again next month, but one of the cool things when you look at actually the last 5 years of data, from whether that's a performance index score data of our entire district or even building specific, you can see the amount of students that are scoring in the limited range shrinking every single year, and the students scoring at the accelerated and above range are just continuing to grow, which is a testament to not only our families, the foundation that they're providing, but the work ethic of our students, and of course the dedicated efforts of our staff to help continuing to uphold rigor and push our kids to grow at unbelievable levels.
I saw those stats too, and it was shocking. I mean, I wrote it down, 22% of students, seniors, are proficient in math across the nation. I know that's not the same. I talked to Paul about that today, but congratulations to all, and including the elementary principals we have today, because you're part of the qualitative story that lead to these quantitative results. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes your report?
Yep.
Okay.
We had to leave plenty of time for the financials.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with the monthly financial reports. Again, this month you have the 2 different ones. For the month of August, revenues exceeded expenditures by $3.7 million. This increases the general fund cash balance to $25.6 million to end August 2025. Through the month of August, revenues were 4.7% greater than projected, while expenditures were 0.4% greater than projected. The district will receive one more tax settlement from Summit County in September, which will be the last tax collection for fiscal year 26 until spring, when those tax settlements start coming in. So that's really our big influx of money to start the year. From here on out, we'll kind of get our state foundation money, which isn't a whole lot, which you'll see in the forecast. Again, revenues for the month of August is down $1.7 million compared to last year, year-over-year change of minus 18%. However, fiscal year to date, through August, revenue is up $1.1 million compared to last year, a year-over-year change of 6%. So that's mostly due to the timing of tax revenues being received. So the 6% increase overall is more in line with our projections than the August decline. Again, a lot of that is just the timing of when you're getting tax settlements and tax advances and settlements in July and August. Revenue received through August totals $20.2 million of the annual budgeted total of $51 million. The amount of budget revenue remaining is about $30.8 million that we projected. Expenditures for the month of August, expenditures are down $246,000 compared to last year, a year-over-year change of minus 5%. But again, year-to-date expenditures are actually up by 400,000 compared to last year, a year-over-year change of 5%. The decline for this month is due to a decrease in purchase services and supplies compared to last year, but overall, we've seen an increase in salary and benefit expenditures, resulting in the year-to-date increase. Again, this increase is from carryover from prior year. We had a lot of severances that were paid out, so that's what's mainly causing that increase so far. Teachers' new salaries kick in September, so we'll have a better idea after this month and probably after October of what our, actual salaries and benefits for the year is going to come out to month. But right now it's still a little early. Expenditures through August total $9 million of the annual budgeted total of $52 million. The amount budgeted expenditures remaining is $43 million. The total cash balance for all funds is $28 million, with the general fund having a cash balance of $25.6. This overall cash balance is again 3.7 more than that of the end of July, which can be accounted for by the tax advances and tax settlement in August. And that's the monthly report through August.
Okay, Exhibit D1, a resolution to approve financial statements and reports. May I have a motion, please? Chair seconds. Are there any comments or questions? All right, then Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalos?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
All right, and now we will go through the financial forecast. This year, this is the fall submission, fiscal year 26 through fiscal year, I will be presenting all 5 years, so it'll be through 2030 with the information I gave you. However, as you'll see, the state now only requires the current year plus 3 projected years. So it'll only go through, the submission will actually only go through 29, but I will be talking about the 5-year as you normally see. Which button is it? Oh, it's got a delay. Did I go too far? We'll find out. All right. So forecast requirements, as I talked about, the new budget bill no longer requires a 5-year forecast. It is now what they call current year appropriations, revenue, and fund balance assumptions, and projections of the same for 3 years. Since that is a mouthful, most treasurers are referring to it as the financial forecast now, because they didn't give us a real good name for it. Some treasurers did want to call it the forecast, but I didn't want to get, it's only my second board meeting, I didn't want to get too fancy with it.
I didn't think treasurers had a sense of humor.
Also, the timeline for the forecast was moved up. Previously, there was a November submission and a May update. This year, the due dates are October 15th and February 28th. And then in future years, that October due date is then going to be in August. Now, there's a lot of issues with that because kind of like I talked about the salaries, new teacher salaries don't start till September, so we really don't have a good idea of salary, like what our salaries are going to look like for the year. Our tax advances and settlements don't come until, we start getting some in July, but they really aren't completed. We still don't have our Summit County settlement. So it kind of puts us behind on, we're basing more and more off of prior year than what is currently happening now. Now, I still update the forecast as the year goes on, so it's not like I'm not looking at it, but as far as what I'm presenting to you for the actual submission to the state, it's just they're forcing us to provide, not as much detail, not as much accurate data because it just doesn't get in on time. The old timeline was a lot better for getting all of that in, making sure we can actually project that out, and now they kind of squeezed it, so it's just not quite as possible. But again, I will continue to update it, so it's not like we will be out of date. However, what gets submitted to the state will be a little behind, as you'll kind of see as we move on through this forecast. Required funds, mainly it's just the general funds, so like our federal grants and stuff are not included in there. Some emergency levy funds and some debt service stuff, but the main focus is the general fund, which is our main operating fund. So what is a forecast? Why do we do it? A financial forecast is a projection of the future based on a snapshot of today. Another thing, like, again, this is projections, our best guess of what's going to be happening in the future. So what happened, the one we submitted in May has changed a lot because the new budget bill didn't take effect, wasn't approved and put into effect until after that submission. So it's a living document that's continued to be updated and changed as things in the district change and things in the state change. But it is a good management tool, so we can do some long-range planning for what's going on in the district and what we think is going to be going on in the state. The notes and assumptions part of the 5-year forecast is an important part because it gives meaning to what some of the numbers actually mean. That underlying detail is important to know. The financial forecast encourages district management teams to examine future years and then identify when challenges will arise. So again, the main goal is to engage the board and community about long-range planning and discussions of the district. It also serves as a basis for our 412 certificate, which kind of certifies that we have funds available to do something like when we pass our AEA agreement, or one of our CBAs, we sign off on a 412 certificate certifying that we have the funds available to do this. So this is the basis for that. And it allows the state to identify potential financial problems in certain districts. Some of the key line items, for those of you who may not be familiar with them, there's two sections, the revenue and expenditures. Revenue is made up of two main sources, which are local and state funding. And expenditures are salary, wages, benefits, purchase services, supplies, and materials. Line 6.010 is excess revenue over under expenditures, so that's your kind of profit loss for the year. And then 7.020 is your ending cash balance for the year. So that's that fund balance I talked about a little earlier. So on to some of our numbers. As you can see from this graph, the black is our revenue and the gray is expenditures. So as you can see, and that yellow line is our cash balance. So as we go through the life of the forecast, expenditures continue to grow, and revenue kind of starts to taper off. You see the little orange bit on the black there. That is a renewal levy that will expire in fiscal year 28. But even with the passing of that renewal levy, expenditures still outpace our revenue growth. So that's why it's important that we continue to pass these renewal levies, because like I've said before, we are not very heavily funded by the state. About 19% of our funds come from the state, so we rely very heavily on our local community. Ending cash balances, the district has generally a 60-day cash balance target. Some districts target about 90-day cash, which is a pretty comfortable area, but still, that's 90 days of being able to operate just on your fund balance without anything else coming in. It's not a very long time. In fiscal year 28, the district will be kind of at that 60-day target, and then after fiscal year 28, we're projected to dip below that as cash reserves begin to dwindle. Again, these are projections, things will change. It's not all bad. So here's kind of what I've been talking about. Local taxes make up 77% of funding in fiscal year 26. So Aurora School District is mainly funded by our local taxes. State funding makes up 19%. This is why it's important, during the budget bill, you heard a lot of people talking about the funding formula. Should they change it? What information are they going to update? The base cost inputs in that help determine how much the state's going to give. So what they've been doing is updating the local data information. So the property values, the income of our district. However, those base costs like teacher salaries, stuff like that, they're keeping it at previous year's levels. They're not updating it to current levels. So what that does is make districts look wealthier than they actually are, because those costs aren't being increased with, they're increasing every year, but they're not doing that in the formula. So it kind of skews that formula to make districts look wealthier than they are, and that state share continues to shrink. As for our district, we are on the state guarantee of the funding formula, so we are guaranteed a certain level of funding regardless of kind of our enrollment changes and stuff like that for now. A lot of districts are on the guarantee, but with the funding formula, a lot of districts, it's shown that a lot of districts have made progress to get off that guarantee and become a formula district. That's why it's important that we keep updating those costs. As I talked about, district enrollment is an important key in that. So you'll see here, we've actually done a good job of maintaining and even increasing. I know these lines look kind of big, but projecting about three new students a year, which is pretty conservative. I've looked at some of our live birth data compared to kindergarten enrollment, and our kindergarten enrollment is over 100%, like 150%. Some years was 200% of what our live birth data is. So that means we're enrolling more kids into our kindergarten than are actually being born in our district, which means we're a great district. People are coming to us to bring their kids into this school, which kind of goes to show that we're doing good things and we're on the right path because we're a destination that people want to send their kids to. I always like to look at it because I just find it interesting to see, how many of those kids were born here and then ended up coming to kindergarten here. We're over 100%, which means kids are moving in from other places to come here. But as you can see, and a lot of districts have been struggling with enrollment, we've been able to maintain. I know this spot right here was a bit of a dip, but we're continuing to grow. And I'll talk a little bit more about enrollment stuff as well, because there's some more stuff going on, which is right here. Vouchers, another important thing that you probably heard about with the budget bill. As you can see here, in fiscal year 23, with Ed Choice, we had less than 10 participants in our district. And 24, that jumped up to the Ed Choice expansion, 87 students. And then in 25, the Ed Choice expansion was 136 students. Yet we haven't lost 136 students in our district because those funds are already going to students who are not attending this school. And that's happening all over the state. So when the state continues to fund these vouchers, saying they're going to these public school kids so they can have better opportunities out there, it's not coming to the kids who are coming to our schools. They're going to kids who are already at these districts, who are already paying the tuition, but now they're getting state funds, taxpayer dollars, to attend those private schools. That's a big key and important for the community to know. And that's why I like showing that enrollment graph compared to these vouchers, because it just proves the point which districts have been talking about for years, that that money is not doing what it's meant to do. It's just going to kids who are already attending private schools. They never attended public school in the first place. That's my little rant for today, sorry. Challenges to operating revenue. Obviously, the biennial budget dictates how the state funding formula will work. I talked a lot about that here tonight. It's important to continue to reach out to legislators as a community, as a district, support public schools. It's not just us, it's every school in Ohio. Just continue to be vocal and reach out. It's vital. It might not seem like it, but it really is. As I said, the state did not update the base cost input. With growing property values and taxpayer AGI, localities look wealthier, resulting in decreasing the state share. From fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 30, total revenue is estimated to grow at a lower rate than expenses. So that's why when we see renewal levies on the ballot, it's really not to gain more money, it's just to continue operating at a level, the current level we're at. It's our job to look at the expenditures, but we appreciate all the support from the community, and we've had great support from the community and hope to continue to do that as we continue to fight some of these funding struggles and battles that we have with the state. As for expenditures, our personnel cost is the majority of our spending, so that includes salaries and benefits. It's around 88%. Typically for a school district, you want that closer to 80. Now, again, this is going to change because a lot of it's based on prior year. We did make a lot of changes and turnover, but we don't have the data yet to show what that full impact has been for this year. So some of it is a little skewed. So I expect this number to change later in the year as we see how it's really kind of turned out. But this was kind of a conservative estimate based on the information I have right now, and what Bill had built in there as well. Some of it carried over. The daily cost to educate, this is another interesting one that I like to show, is that the daily cost to educate per pupil. It costs our district $103 to educate a kid per day. One kid per day, $103. I send my son to daycare, and it is a lot more expensive than $103 a day. So we are very economical with our taxpayer dollars. We stretch it as far as we possibly can and get everything out of it. As you can see from our test scores and everything we've done here, we really are great value for your dollar. And the per pupil expenditure support, you can see resident property owned portion is 62%, while state, federal, business taxes and others is about 38%. This isn't in the report, but I just read something that said the increase in residential and agricultural, so like property owners and farmers, has increased from, what was the numbers? It was like 30% up to 40 or 60%. It was kind of a ridiculous jump, whereas businesses, their share of that same tax has decreased over the years to the lowest it's been in a long time. So a lot of what the legislature is doing is making it cheaper for these businesses and putting the burden on the local homeowner and taxpayer. It's not something schools are choosing to do. It's something the state has done. And I'll make sure I share that report with the board. I believe I shared it with you, Dr. Milsatich.
Yeah, it's going to be in my weekly update to the board on Friday.
Perfect. But it was a very interesting read to show really just how the state's policies are impacting the local taxpayer. There's a lot of talk out there about property taxes, how they're so expensive, this and that. Well, it's happened because of what the legislature has been putting out there. It's not an accident or a coincidence. They've been doing this and pushing it to this spot where the local taxpayer has been carrying the burden for those taxes. Key factors to watch. Again, the renewal of our operating levies are going to be important. Biennial budget decisions, again, every 2 years they approve the biennial budget, so we'll see what the new one is in place for the next 2 years, and after that we'll see what brings. Hopefully we kind of get some traction and some positive momentum in the legislature, but it's going to be, even though that's a couple years away, we still have to continue to be vocal from today till then. And again, the personnel costs, that's one we're going to have to keep a close eye on. We're a very fortunate district with a lot of great staff, but it's something that we have to keep a close eye on and something we've been working on for sure. So I expect those numbers to adjust later in the year, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. And that is all I have.
Okay. So Exhibit D2 is a resolution to approve the financial forecast. Correct? That's what we're calling it, the financial forecast?
Yes.
And you're going to file that on October 15th?
I'll probably file it prior just to make sure it's
by
submitted.
October
Yes.
15th?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, may I have a motion, please?
Second?
Are there any questions? All right, then Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
Okay. Forecast is approved. Thank you for your report.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to new business. We have a resolution to accept gifts and contributions. Anonymous donation of $180 to the science department at the high school. Nicole Morganroth donated $50 to the swim program, and the Harmon High PTO donated $10,000 to Harmon School. May I have a motion, please?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments about that, other than thank you, right? Okay, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
All right, moving on to the personnel resolutions. I'd like to take E1, B1 by itself. It's a resolution to accept resignations and retirements. May I have a motion?
Move.
All right, I just wanted to make a comment about Lois Mudry. We're thankful to everyone on this list for their service to our schools, but I think we need to make special mention of Lois Mudry, whose service to the schools as a bus driver can be measured in decades, which is really saying something, right? With the problems we're having now. And she drove my children to school, so it's been a long time, and we thank her, and I hope that her retirement is everything she hopes it to be. Are there any other comments? All right, then Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
All right, that resolution is approved. And then without objection, I will take E1, B2 through E1, B10 together. I'll read through them, then I'll get a motion. E1, B2 is a resolution to award supplemental pupil activity contracts to non-district personnel. Exhibit E1, B3 is a resolution to approve the introductory appointment of support staff. Exhibit E1, B4 is a resolution to award supplemental contracts to district personnel. Exhibit E1, B5 is a resolution to employ support staff substitutes for this school year. Exhibit E1, B6 is a resolution to employ licensed substitute teacher, just one teacher, for this school year. Exhibit E1, B7 is a resolution to employ event staff workers. Exhibit E1, B8 is a resolution to approve the reclassification of licensed staff members. Exhibit E1, B9 is a resolution to approve an updated job description for network manager. And Exhibit E1, B10, where we are, is a resolution to award a teacher a one-year limited contract. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Chair seconds. Any comments or questions? Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
All right, resolutions are approved. Next, we have a resolution to approve payment in lieu of providing transportation for 2 students for this school year. May I have a motion, please?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Can you just give an explanation of what this is for?
Yeah, in certain situations, we are obligated to provide transportation, and if a family fills out the form or makes this request, we actually give them payment in lieu of that transportation, and that's what these 2 families have requested.
How much is that?
Mr. Schiraldi, what the amount?
There's a state range, a minimum and maximum, I believe, it's like $500 some, I believe.
Right, roughly.
I don't know the exact number, I apologize.
All right, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
All right, Exhibit E1D is a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Virtual Healthcare Solutions, doing business as National Telehealth Solutions. May I have a motion, please?
Moved.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? Would you like to just take a minute?
That's what I was going to ask, since this one is a long contract and a little bit complicated. I know I put it in my weekly updates, but I'll try to simplify it. Essentially, this is a group that secures federal funds for school districts and other entities, and they provide mental health services, telehealth services to students, staff, and to families. Our only obligation is to sort of act as a pass-through So that's why we were negotiating the contract for amount of time that we would hold on to those funds and pass it on to them. That was one of the hangups in the contract, but they are working to secure for Aurora. It's about $2.8 million for those services. It varies per school district. Like in Solon, I believe it's a little bit more based upon their population. And then our only obligation is to take those funds, pass them to this group, and then obviously we would publicize these services to students, staff, and families. But they're not our services. We would just provide that information.
Okay.
Yeah. If the student is underage, do they contact the parent services? Do they advise the parent?
Yeah, the parent, the student, staff, the families, they're going to have to seek these out. Like, we don't enact these services, so the parent of that underage child would actually have to sign their children up for it.
Okay.
Good question, though.
All right, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Exhibit E1E is a resolution of intent to participate in the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission Expedited Local Partnership Program. May I have a motion for approval?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? You've explained
Yeah,
this.
pretty much explained that in
You
my
go ahead,
report.
just take a minute.
No, yeah, that's simply all it was. This is what mostly what my report was about, in addition to the timeline, is just, we have to send in this application with this resolution so that the Ohio Facilities Commission can process our application to potentially receive state aid on any construction project.
If I remember correctly, is there something that has to go on the ballot in order to receive those funds, like a $500,000?
Yeah, so that would be in the future if we were successful with the bond issue, and then we build it, that there is one more step where we would have to pass that. Yeah, I think it is a half mil bond issue in order to access the, whatever it would be, probably 10 million-ish, I'm just guessing, dollars based on this project. Mhm. That would be a later step, though, after the timeline that I showed today.
Okay, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
All right, and Exhibit E1F is a resolution to approve an emergency school closing. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Chair second, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, and, oh, this was for the electrical.
Yep, that was the
Yeah.
calamity day for just Harmon when the power went blow.
Okay, Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mr. Sobolski?
Yes.
Mrs. Click?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis?
Yes.
Mr. Akam?
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider?
Yes.
All right, and then we have no discussion items tonight. And under board items, we have Exhibit F1, which is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding that was regarding the bus driver wage increase. May I have a motion, please?
Move. Second.
Are there any comments or questions about that? Did you want to say something?
I can. I'm waiting to see if that's what you want. Yes, so this was a unique situation. Also, I put in the weekly update and obviously work with Ms. Mahalis as the board president and the OPSI president. We, as everybody knows, but as the board knows, we are down to no subs. We had one, and we're working on securing some more, but we have enough drivers to cover our daily routes. We are struggling to even cover athletic events, field trips, things like that. We really should have 5 or 6 more subs than we have in our, on our list of drivers. So what this is, we have to negotiate the OPSI contract before the end of the year. It's going to be in sort of an October, November timeframe negotiation. But this is sort of an emergency pay raise for our bus drivers. I don't know how to say it any better. We had already lost 7 drivers to a neighboring district that paid more than we did, and we're on the verge of losing more until we engage in some dialogue about that. And essentially, this is just getting us in the same neighborhood as that neighboring district so that we do not lose any more drivers and can maintain our routes with no subs. But, so it's a very difficult situation, but this was absolutely needed, and appreciate the support of the board and Ms. Mahalis.
Are there any questions? All right, then Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Click,
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalis,
Yes.
Mr. Akam,
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski.
Yes.
Are there any other board items? Okay, then could I please have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mr. Schiraldi, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mahalis,
Yes.
Mrs. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Sobolski,
Yes.
Mrs. Click,
Yes.
Mr. Akam.
Yes.
All right, meeting is adjourned, and thank you all for coming.